Hello, and thanks for joining us for the Friends of the Farm lecture series. Each session is designed to deliver a small and in-depth dose of cannabis education. My name is Candace Hawes, and I want to thank all of our viewers and customers from the Farmacy, from the Pottery, and from the Natural Healing Center, as well as all of our friends joining us from around the world. I'm very excited for today's program. This month marks the 4th year of this series, and also we're coming close to our 100th episode. I'm really excited today because I'm joined by one of my favorite friends and colleagues, dear friend, Sue Taylor, and we're going to talk about one of the subjects that's really close to my heart. Sue is joining us today to talk about trends in senior CBD and cannabis use. At Farmacy here specifically, where we work with a lot of seniors, we attend a lot of senior fairs and events, and I can certainly say that I've seen the number of aging adults consuming cannabis increase over the last couple of years. So I'm delighted to be joined by Sue to talk about the methods that seniors are using, her insights to why the number of senior consumers is rising, to talk about how the industry is responding to this increasing number. To those of you who aren't familiar with Sue, she's a wonderful person, and she's also a retired Catholic school principal. She's a mother, a teacher, and a retired teacher, a mother, and grandmother. She's the co-founder and the executive director of Farmacy Berkeley. She founded this dispensary with her son and her daughter-in-law. She opened Farmacy Berkeley with the vision of opening a community dispensary focused on educating seniors about cannabis, about improving their quality of life, and about dispelling stigma. At the same time that she opened Farmacy Berkeley, she also founded Mama Sue Wellness. This product line was created to help seniors help with their needs of treating sleep and pain, really suited to treat the problems that they were trying to solve, with low intoxicating formulas. Today, Sue serves as a brand ambassador for Glass House Brands, where she's actively on a mission to change the stigma surrounding cannabis and educate seniors about the benefits of the plant. In 2023, Sue was featured in CNN's The Whole Story with Anderson Cooper, Weed 7, A Senior Moment, which is still streaming on Max, if anybody wanted to check that out. It's an amazing episode. And she's working currently as still with Glass House Brands on their series Plants Over Pills, where she speaks with notable celebrities and athletes like former NBA star Barone Davis and Bravo's reality star Golnessa Gigi to share real stories of how cannabis can help with healing and better people's lives. So I definitely encourage people to check that out too. So that's an ongoing series where you guys are still collecting stories. So
yes.
It's really remarkable. I encourage people to check that out. So I'm really honored to work with Sue, educating seniors, and I'm really happy to have you with us today.
Thank you so much, Candace. Thank you for inviting me to the webinar. And thank all of you for tuning in today, especially seniors, because, of course, I'm a senior myself. And as I've always said, if someone had said to me, I would be working in the cannabis industry, if they told me this 17 years ago, I said, oh, you've been smoking too much of that stuff, because that's how far removed I was from it. And in the introduction that Candace just said about me, there were two other things I want to bring to your attention, which is that I'm also certified by the state of California to teach education to nurses about cannabis, the uses of it, and give them CEUs toward their yearly certification that they must have. So I am certified by the state. And when I was in the Bay Area, I was a commissioner on aging, of the aging population. So I've always been interested in my demographic. So this has been perfect for me. And let me tell you all this, I never would have chosen it, never in a lifetime. It had to come from our Creator. I know that because of the work that how I feel inside when I'm doing the work, when I'm working with seniors, when I'm educating about them, when I'm learning about all the sicknesses and things that we have. It's just been a real gratifying privilege for me to be working in this industry, especially with this demographic, especially with this demographic, even though many, many more people are looking into their well-being of health and living well, whether they're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, or 100. So I'm honored to be here. Please ask questions. This is very informal. We have a lot of good information. Candace has put together almost this entire presentation. The research, you're going to love it because it's very informative.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'm really excited to share all this information with you guys. So,
and what we'll discuss today will be the definitions. There are a lot of definitions in cannabis that's foreign to most, well, sometimes to me too, because it keeps changing. So you have to keep educating yourself about the terms and the different cannabinoids and terpenes and things that are happening now. They're finding all kinds of new information about how cannabis can help. And another challenging thing dealing with the cannabis is the delivery methods. There are many, many different ways now of how you consume it. And that's very important. And once we go through it, you'll understand and you'll find out, see which one might be best for you. Mm-hmm. And the most interesting, in my opinion, are the trends. When we talk about the new trends that are happening here in the United States, the research that they have found about our demographic and how we are using cannabis now more and more. And so you learn about that and the responses by brands, the different brands that we're going to have and what they do and the tips for consumers.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay. Back in the day, in like say 17 years ago, when I first got into the cannabis industry, it was only medical. And so what was the stigma that everybody was worried about was the THC. THC is what was prevalent, especially back then. And the other one was CBD. But the THC was the one that was everybody was used to. But those are the two. And know this, when the THC is the high, the psychoactivity part of the plant. And the CBD is helps with inflammatory. It helps with the effects of it. And what it also does, the THC and CBD is used synergistically. They have the most effective is when the THC have some CBD in it. That's when you get that solid curative parts of that plant, of those two cannabinoids. Mm-hmm. And then the minor ones is CBN. CBN is a sedative effect. It relaxes you more. It's usually teamed with for sleep. Mm-hmm. And it's a last longing effect. And the CBG what is that? Let's see, I can't see. Oh, it's for nausea. It helps with nausea in the stomach and with those. And it also helps with cancer cells. Supports mm-hmm. with cancer cells multiplying. Yeah. So there are a lot of things that are coming out about these different, about the THC, the CBD, the CBN, and the CBG. You want to talk about the last two?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So as Sue said, there's a lot of different cannabinoids that you'll see on the dispensaries. So definitely do your research and learn more about these cannabinoids, and in that guide to cannabis that we've attached or that you can find at the dispensaries, you can definitely learn more. But these are some of the cannabinoids that you'll see in the dispensaries available and that a lot of seniors are taking advantage of. You'll also see, some products, mostly cannabis flower, will also have classifications of indica, sativa, hybrid. Some will also be labeled with terpenes, which is the essential oils of cannabis, the way that, this way that cannabis smells, which also has ties to the effects of the way that it makes you feel. But the classifications that some products will also be labeled that has ties to the way that it makes you feel is indica, sativa, hybrid. So indicas will also have more sedative effects. They can be used for pain and for relaxation. I like to think of it, or you can remember it as indica couch, so you're trying to use products, for like sleep or pain, you'll use like indicas or maybe like THCs, things, or like CBN for like sleep or relaxation or for pain. And then on the other end of the spectrums, there would be like sativas, which are like stimulating and can be like creative. Like if you think about, people that use cannabis and they're like chatty and they're like laughing and stuff like that, those are like sativa-like effects. I like to think of it like sativa stimulating, or like sugar,
Yes.
Yes. And so, daytime kind of,
it's a daytime, time use. And oftentimes when patients or people are depressed, you would use the sativa because
uplifting effects.
It'll uplift you. That's why it's so important that you familiarize yourself with each one of these, because when you're consuming, you have to know the results that you want. Because some people say, no, I don't want to try. I tried one time and it does this. Well, it depends on what the strand is, what it derived from. So you have to know, you have to educate yourself about what it does. The terminology like sativa, the indica, you have to know which one you want. And we'll talk about more of this during the presentation. And the endocannabinoid system, I want to talk a little bit about that as well, because once I went to a doctor's conference, was on endocannabinoids, and the explanation was so far away from my knowledge, I didn't understand anything that they were saying. And so finally, I have an understanding of it, and I can explain it to you of why cannabis works. It's because our bodies, our physical bodies, our Creator made us this way. Our bodies have natural endocannabinoids. We have an endocannabinoid system. God gave it to us. And the job of endocannabinoids in our bodies is when there's any kind of discord or imbalance in our bodies, it used to could repair itself. The endocannabinoids will go right away in healing that part of the body that was off balance. And it worked fine. But over time, the pollutants in the air, all the harmful foods that we're eating, all those kinds of things, all the medications that many of us are taking, the endocannabinoid system that's in our bodies cannot keep up. And one of the reasons why cannabis works so well, guess what cannabis has? Endocannabinoids. Just remember that. That's why it works. It's in the plant and it's in our bodies. And we'll talk more about that as we go along. And remember, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to
put them in the Q&A. Yeah. Just like Sue said, the endocannabinoid system is a very important body system, and its job is to modulate homeostasis and make sure that the body is balanced. It has receptors all throughout the body, and you can see like in the diagram there, we have a CB1 and CB2 receptor located throughout the body, and that, cannabis has phytocannabinoids that can mimic the endocannabinoids and, fit into those receptors. So,
right.
Our body was meant almost to, work with these endocannabinoids or phytocannabinoids. So it's actually pretty remarkable. Definitely learn more about it if that interests you. But that's why cannabis works with the human body and also with mammals. So moving into delivery methods, because every different delivery method affects you differently and it has a different onset and duration. So, it's important to experiment with cannabis. Unfortunately, it's not like prescription medications where we can tell you, oh, you need this delivery method, this dosage, that's going to work perfectly for you. Everybody's different. Even your sister who has the same biology as you, everybody is completely different, and what works for her is not going to necessarily work for you. So you're going to need to try different strains and different delivery methods, different dosages until you find exactly what works for you. So the first one that we're going to start with, because Sue has created such a great product line, the Mama Sue Wellness line, because sublingual drops, tinctures are such a great delivery method for active aging adults because of their quick onset, They're one of the quickest products aside from like inhalation, which is smoking. With sublingual drops, as you can see, like in the diagram in the bottom, you're administering the drop underneath the tongue or inside the cheek. That way you're actually bypassing the digestive system. So you don't have to wait for it to, go through, a digestive system to, get into your bloodstream. It's actually going straight into your bloodstream. So, within 15 minutes, it's getting into your bloodstream, getting into your body. The duration's about 3 to 4 hours. This is drops, it's sprays, it's inhalers, it's tongue strips. There's many different ways that you can find these drops. There's MCT oils, which is coconut oil, avocado oil, olive oil. And Sue brought up a really cool point. What's really neat about sublingual drops, tinctures, is you can actually use them in different capacities. Of course, you can use them under the tongue, but if you get in a pinch, you could actually use them as a topical too, right? Sue?
Yeah, yes. I with my Mama Sue products, I have bulging disc 4 and 5 in my back. They deem me permanently disabled. And I'll give you, for instance, I take my newly exercise program now. I take water aerobics at my building.
Mm-hmm.
And so my back, literally, I woke up Tuesday morning and I couldn't walk. I was in that much pain. And so I really wanted to go to the water aerobics. So I got the relief, the Mama Sue relief, and I took a half a dropper of it under the tongue, because that's quick acting. And I was able to go to class, enjoy the class, and just really work my body.
You see, there was a time you put it on topically too.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I did that. But the night before, this is what I did. I rubbed it on.
Mm-hmm.
I rubbed it on my back and on my feet.
Yeah.
Because sometimes those are the two, especially when I'm laying quiet in the bed, look like my body just want to talk to me.
Yeah.
Like to say, oh, this is hurting and all that. So I'll use it as a topical. It works.
Yeah.
It really does. And so I'm just happy. I'm going to talk to you more a little later about the Mama Sue products and why I developed them.
Yeah. So you could use it, sublingually, get it in quick. You can use it as a topical if you just need something topical and you only have a tincture. And then because it's an avocado, MCT coconut oil base, you can also cook with it, or you can put it on a salad.
I'll put it in your smoothies.
Mm-hmm. So you can use like a sublingual, like in many different ways. So, it's very versatile. And then like if you actually did like a cost analysis, it's actually like per milligram, like actually one of the most affordable ways to use cannabis too. So, I really love this delivery method. I do want to point out though, you want to make sure if you're using it as a sublingual that you hold it in your tongue, for at least like 30 seconds. So you allow it to absorb. Otherwise, if you're just swallowing it, you're pretty much turning it into an edible, and there will be that longer period of time before it, before you feel those effects or that relief. All right. And then, the next form would be like the edible forms of cannabis, which is also a very popular way for seniors. I would say, and like the customers that I work with, I would say like a large majority of seniors use edible products because a lot of them are treating pain and sleep, right, Sue?
Yes, that's really the only reasons why most seniors consider using cannabis, because we can't sleep. Are we in pain?
Yeah.
Usually those are the two major reasons.
Yeah. And so edibles are really good because edibles do have that long duration. Edibles, though, can have a longer period they can take a longer time for them to have onset, 45 minutes to possibly 2 hours. Depends a lot on like what you ate that day, what you drank, your gut biome, what other medications you may be on. A lot of factors play into that. Also, what kind of product you're taking. If you're taking a product that's nano emulsified, like these plus products are fast acting, or if you're taking a drink, those can affect you faster, which is nice. There's such a large variety of edibles too, desserts, and there's mints and capsules, and a lot of these products are so delicious, and like the edibles, are a lot higher quality and delicious than a lot of the baked goods that I see in these nice dessert stores. So, they're very tempting. It's hard to eat just one sometimes. But they provide such great relief for people that, need help with pain and sleep.
Candace is absolutely correct. The thing, people are going to gummies more than anything is because it lasts a long, the duration is like 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah.
So you could sleep longer. You could get a good night's sleep with it. So they tend to go to it. But this is what you have to be careful. Candace said it's tricky because the amount that you would take, because we have some that's 10 milligram, 5 milligram, one with THC in it. And so you just have to be very mindful of when you're taking it. One thing Candace said that I want you to really be, if it tastes good, don't eat two. Because a lot of the edibles, if it tastes good, that people say, oh, well, I ate one, but it didn't do anything. I'm going to eat some more. Well, then you have a bad experience with the cannabis. So you have to be very mindful, because when you're doing a gummy, remember, it has to go through your digestive system. So it takes time for it to do what it does until your body metabolizes it, and all those factors that Candace said. It depends on how much you've eaten that day, how much you weigh, if you're a first-time user or a long-time user. All of those things come into factor. And we'll talk more about that as we move on.
And I'm seeing somebody in the chat is making a good point too, that a lot of people are able to reduce the number of pharmaceutical medications that they take as well, using edible products as well, and other forms of cannabis too. But that's a really nice thing when seniors are able to, whittle down, reduce, with the help of their doctor, the number of pharmaceutical medications that they're taking, because, there's a lot of seniors that are, polypharmacy, taking so many different medications, and this medication is helping with the side effect of that medication and the side effect of that medication. So if we can, reduce the number of medications, we're improving the quality of life. And that's really what it's about.
And that's our whole objective here, is really to improve the life, especially of seniors. Yeah. That's my passion. That's my love. That's my mission that I was sent on this earth to do. Yeah. Is to help with the well-being and improve the life of it. But later on, you'll see in the trends, there's in the medical part, they'll show you there's a recorded study that says a lot of the pharmaceutical drugs are reduced because people are using cannabis.
Yep. Perfect. All right. And then the next method, not so much a method that new senior consumers are using, but of like the baby boomer generation that have been using cannabis for a longer periods of time. Is like inhaled cannabis. So inhaled cannabis, like I said, is not something newer consumers are starting with, but of those that have been using it probably for a longer period of time. Inhaled cannabis is nice because it has the almost instantaneous onset. So you can take, one puff and then exhale it, and within a couple seconds, you can feel how that's affecting you and whether it's enough or whether you need more. Is it good, or do you need a little bit more to get you where you're at? With inhaled cannabis, it's, doesn't last as long. So, it can help you, just, enjoy that meal and get some sustenance in your body, or get over like the nausea that you're experiencing. And then after that's done, the effects have gone away and you can get on with your day. Inhaled cannabis can include things like joints or, bongs, or there's also, healthier ways of using inhaled cannabis, which would, be using a vaporizer device, which there's vaporizer like volcano devices, or like other ones that have like whips and stuff like that, to breathe cannabis, to inhale cannabis flower. Or there's also like the vaporizer pins, where they've, made it like a easier device for seniors to use, which is like the same kind of technology, where they have a device that just heats up the cannabis to a temperature where the active cannabinoids are, you can breathe them in and get the relief, but you're not breathing in combusted cannabis material, which is, not something that doctors want you to do. So inhaled cannabis is really good for immediate symptom relief. So, nausea, trying to help somebody with appetite, or even like, if you wake up in the middle of the night and you're having trouble getting back to bed, there's some seniors that will have like a vaporizer pin, with like THC, CBN by their bedside to help them get back to sleep. That's something that I've also seen a lot of seniors do as well.
Oh, so, really? Okay.
Yeah. And then the final category that we'll talk to before we get on to our next section would be like topicals. which have also become very popular with seniors. They have an onset of like 5 to 15 minutes of a duration, like 3 to 4 hours. And it includes things like massage oils and creams and balms and bath bombs and transdermal patches as well. I just want to point out that like oil and water-based products are great for like external relief and like muscle soreness and rashes and bug bites and stuff like that. But if you're really trying to get like more like deeper relief and want like systemic relief, look into transdermal products. Transdermal products actually have a carrying agent that can get deeper. They can penetrate through the skin and get into your blood system, and they can provide you that deeper pain relief. They're transdermal patches, like the ones, certain ones have to be placed on like a thin venous area, like the inside of your wrist or on the top of your foot. But they're very popular. So we'll also talk about those later. But this is a very popular category with seniors, and we'll also mention these later on.
Okay, and our next our next portion are the major trends of wellness that we're going to be going over. Oh, thank you.
Sorry, I skipped over that one. Go back to number 1.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
There you go. Seniors have more ailments than younger adults. Yes, we do. Cannabis and CBD can help manage chronic pain, alleviate symptoms of age-related ailments, arthritis, insomnia, improve our overall health and well-being. We don't have to smoke it. There are many different delivery methods, which we'll go over. It's safer than prescription medications for long-term treatment. I want to talk about that a little bit. You guys know how the pharmaceutical approach, and I want to just say this, the pharmaceutical approach is not a bad thing. Some people need those pharmaceutical drugs. They really do, to stay alive. But most of us, we don't need them to, and we shouldn't be using them to manage our health. And that's what I'm an advocate about with the cannabis. That's why I don't smoke cannabis. But I couldn't turn my back away from it, because I've seen all the healing, all the health, all the well-being, all the people improving their life. I've witnessed this over the 17 years. And so I couldn't turn my back on it. I couldn't walk away from it. So I had to do whatever, even though I didn't know anything about it, anything. I had to do what I could when I saw the healing to bring the knowledge to this population, to this demographic, especially. And you guys, my life didn't begin until I was in my 50s. My 60s was awesome. My 70s was off the chain, and my 80s is going to be even greater. And I said, why did my life begin at 50? You know why? Because I was supposed to be working with this demographic, with the senior demographic. The 2019-2020 U.S. Census stated at the rate of 10,000 a day, people will turn 65 for the next 6 years. We're going to be, for the first time in the history of the country, the largest demographic. With this come all these symptoms that I just told you about in this slide. Yes, we have different ailments as we age. And where it says the prescription, the cannabis works better for long-term treatments than the pharmaceutical drugs, because the pharmaceutical drugs have so many side effects. If we're using them to manage our health, like I would say pain and taking those pills, because they mess with your heart, your liver, your kidneys, all your internal organs. So we have to be mindful of health and well-being. Let's see. And there's no one that's ever died from cannabis overdose. It's just an increased longevity and the desire for alternative healthcare options. And I know they are, and we have to choose those healthcare options, such as, say for myself, I use acupuncture, I use chiropractic care, I meditate 3 times a day, I exercise my body most of the time. I eat well most of the time, not all the time. I look for, and I use cannabis. I use cannabis to help with the pain because I'm aging too. I have pain in my body. I have anxiety, like everybody else, but using these doesn't affect my organs, and so that's what I want you to be aware of. And you guys, you have to become your own advocate with all of this. You have to know your body, and when you go to your physician, you tell them what you need and what you would like, because you can't just give your power over away. You have to claim your own power and go within and ask your creator, what's good for me? Should I be using this? You'll get the answer. You'll know if it's good for you or not. I'm going to continue on. Oh, listen to this, you guys. In the survey of Medicare recipients, look at 21% reported they were current users of cannabis for medical purposes. This you've never seen this before. 21% in Medicare. Yeah. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, of like the people that responded in this survey, 21%. That's amazing numbers, and I love seeing these kind of surveys.
Yes, and
conducted by the government.
And you and pull it up, because we have the research where you could just click on it and you could read more about it.
Yeah, and it's amazing because I go to like I said before, a lot of senior expos, and I see seniors all the time, and they tell me like they're 80 and 90 years old, and I'm like, I can't believe it. You don't even look like you could be, in that age category. And like you said, people are living longer these days, and if they're living longer, they want to enjoy it. They don't want to, they want to feel good. They want to be well. And so it's so important for me living longer that we're going to be feeling good as well. And so people are taking care of themselves. And that's why cannabis and CBD is such an important thing to people nowadays, So.
And they deserve it. Mm-hmm. They deserve to live a better quality of life as we age, as they age.
Mm-hmm. So they're being more mindful about what they're putting into their bodies, what medicines they're taking. And so that's why I think more people are looking towards these natural ways. Like you said, like, exercise and diet and cannabis if you do have pain and trouble falling asleep. So,
yes,
that's I think why it's like kind of trend number one is wellness. I think that's the main driving factor to seniors. So, second trend, medical professionals.
This is for the first time the medical professionals are realizing the benefits of cannabis and not opposed to patients incorporating it into their health care. That's major. Mm-hmm. A plus for us, and patients' use of opiates and requests for opiates are decreasing.
Yep.
Due to cannabis. National Institute of Drug Abuse studies have concluded that drug overdose rates are lower in the states that have access to legal cannabis. So the trends is, and the stigma inside the medical professional, the stigma inside medical professions is reducing.
Yeah, so doctor to doctor stigma, so they're not, looking at each other so negatively, if one doctor is open to cannabis anymore, and that used to be something that was holding doctors back, and more doctors are being educated now on the endocannabinoid system. 20 years ago, doctors didn't even, know what that was. And nowadays, they all, are aware, and they're even now teaching it in medical school, which is really nice. So
now that's a new trend.
Yeah.
Because my own medical doctor, when I went to her when I had asthma, mm-hmm. and I said, I don't want to manage this. I want to cure it. Mm-hmm. She said, well, I don't have the time to take you through what all is necessary to cure this. And so after my third visit of hounding her, she said, listen, let me tell you one thing. We were not taught this in medical school. We were not taught. The only thing they taught us was to give pills.
Yeah.
They taught us the pharmaceutical approach. And so now, and as we go through this major trends of telling you what has changed, I want you to look at click on where we received, where we got the information from, the research information that'll tell you where it came from. We just didn't make it up.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the study too here from the clinical gerontologist that we found here, and it says, according to it says medical cannabis use, and this was the article exploring the perceptions and experiences of older adults with chronic conditions, in this article by the clinical gerontologist in 2021. Which investigated older adults' perceptions and experiences of medical cannabis use to treat or manage chronic conditions, specifically as a substitute for prescription drugs. The study participants reported satisfaction with being able to use medical cannabis to manage their pain symptoms, to get relief from pain, and also have an improved quality of life while lessening their dependence on pharmaceutical drugs. So this is a medical journal that just studies, the aging of adults, and they have found, in conclusion, that cannabis actually does, help seniors. So, it's wonderful to see these kind of studies coming out. In the early 2000s, I worked in one of the first medical cannabis doctors' offices. And let me tell you, it was a completely different story. We used to have doctors, calling us and they were not in support of their patients using cannabis, and they would be removing these patients from their practice and withholding their opioids from them. And so now it's like completely 180-degree change, and they're happy to see their patients reducing the prescription asks and turning to cannabis. So, what 20 years has done for us.
So the patients themselves are really educating the doctors, because they're seeing it.
Yeah.
And they're telling the doctors, and that's what has to happen.
Yeah. And now I have doctors actually calling us here at Farmacy Pottery Natural Healing Center saying, can you please bring me some cards and some of your guide to cannabis so I can have them here at the office, so that when people are asking me for more opioid prescriptions, I can tell them, go to the dispensary instead, go try some CBD, go try, some ratioed products, try this first,
Right.
So it's really nice because, like I said, 180 degrees from where we were before, when, we were fighting with the doctors, to now they're referring people to us.
Yeah, I'm just so happy to hear that, because I just could remember we have patients that come to us to say our doctors told us to try cannabis because he couldn't help us anymore, but don't tell him I sent you. I recommended it.
Yeah.
So this is a big change.
Yeah. And then somebody in the chat also said, if you're in a different state and you can't find a doctor that specializes in cannabis, there's a great group called the Society of Cannabis Clinicians, where you can find an actual educated clinician in your state. So if you're elsewhere and you're looking for somebody, that is a really great place to go and find somebody. And we've had doctors from that group actually speak in this webinar series, so I'd highly suggest them as well. So thank you for making that suggestion.
Yeah. And now there's 38 states that allow medical cannabis.
Yeah, so major trend number 3, which would be the changing stigma around cannabis consumers.
Yes, and thank God, that is really, and I pride myself on helping to help change the stigma.
I would say so.
Because to be quite honest with you, it took me 5 years where I could tell people I worked with cannabis, because I was so embarrassed about the stigma that surrounded cannabis. When I first got started, well, actually a long time, it took me like 5 or 6 years before I could say, yes, I work with seniors in medical cannabis, you guys, because I said, this is how I thought of it. I said, I'm working with cannabis, and another stigma against me. I'm African American. I've been discriminated against all my life. How did I get into this industry that's even worse? Cannabis, black cannabis. How much more can I endure? I just want to hide. I don't want to tell anybody. But now it's different, because now I'm proud, because I see the healing. And I want it so much, especially for the baby boomers, because they were taught like me. Mm-hmm. This was a hardcore drug. It was losers and drug addicts that used this. It wasn't a medicine. It was like heroin and crack cocaine. And the stigma is changing. Mm-hmm. It's changing to health, wellness, and well-being. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just so happy to have been a part of this change and to even change my own mind.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even, all of it. Everyone knows someone who uses
Yeah.
and has benefited from it or works in the cannabis industry.
Yeah.
I mean, and you find out after you tell them you work in the cannabis, then they tell you.
And I think this has trickled all the way up to like the government. And I think that's why we've had so much change, is because it's gone all the way up to the highest levels of society. Even the richest and even the 1%, everybody knows somebody that uses cannabis, has benefited, and works or owns cannabis businesses. And that's why I think we have so much change.
Mm-hmm. You want to read that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then this is like linked in another study from the American Geriatric Society, a group that studies the aging of adults. And it says among nationally representative sample of U.S. adults age 65 and older, the percentage of older adults who believe that people who smoked cannabis once or twice a week and that are at a greater risk of harming themselves physically or in other ways has decreased 20% over the years, just in 4 years. So in 4 years, the perception that you use cannabis has decreased, that use cannabis and hurt yourself has decreased 20%. So we've reduced that stigma by 20% in just 4 years. So in that 2015 to 2019, that was like a big change in stigma in that time period. We shifted society's views greatly in that period of time.
Yes, we did. And I really commend that shift.
And that was Prop 64. That's like when Prop 64 passed. So think about how that law changed the dynamics of people's perceptions and, society.
And more importantly, that was one, but more importantly, is because of the work that you're doing here. We educate here at Glass House Brands. We educate. We educate. How long have you been doing these webinars?
4 years.
For 4 years. Educating about the do's and don'ts, what to look out for cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
So you could judge for yourself. We educate, we identify which products, what strands does what. We educate about the products so people can know, so they can judge for themselves, so they can feel comfortable. So that's I really think, and so I commend you for your hard work over the years, even when you work for Normal. Yeah. I mean, it's been the education component that's helped with this change of stigma.
Yeah. And you too, you're thinking about going on CNN and like all the work that you've done, going on different radio shows and TV shows and all that, and putting yourself out there too. Being a Catholic school principal, that is not something, having that background and doing what you do today is, that has done a lot too to change that stigma, coming from such a conservative background to doing what you do today, has done a lot to shift that as well. So,
thank you.
But yeah, so definitely has helped a lot of people. And I'm glad that we've shifted that stigma and made people more comfortable to change their beliefs as well and to try this. So. And then major trend number 4 is just consumer options.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would say like one of the biggest things is now that the Department of Cannabis Control regulates the sale of CBD that's derived from cannabis and cannabis that's sold inside the regulated dispensaries. The consumers now are ensured that the products are safe and consistent, that they are now pesticide and contaminant free, and that the products are consistently dosed, and that every time that you come and buy the same product, that it's going to be the same thing. This is not what we had, historically, when you first opened and when I started working in the industry, we only had THC and pot brownies, and you didn't really know what you got.
Exactly.
You got what you got, and that was it. Now you have so many selections, and that it's safe and consistent. You have the testing, and you can feel safe and secure, and you know what you're getting. And that, I think, has made a lot of people feel more secure. And that's why more seniors are using cannabis for sure, and CBD.
Yes. And another thing too, that I want to bring up, Candace, is that I want everyone listening to this webinar to know that when you going to purchase cannabis, make sure it's at a permitted, regulated dispensary. Make sure it's regulated by the city and the state, because you really don't know what you're getting if it's not regulated by the state of California. Because when you come to one of our dispensaries, we trace from seed to sale. If anybody gets sick or if anything goes wrong, we could trace it to who sold it, when, and where. And the state, their state regulators that come and make sure we're doing everything appropriately. And so I asked someone once, I said, well, how do you know when they're not regulated by the state? They said, well, number one, it'll tell you the prices will be twice as cheap. That's because they're not paying all the taxes and things to the state. And that's required to check up on all the dispensaries.
Mm-hmm.
And so they can afford to lower the prices. So if the prices are really cheap, trust me, you don't know what you're getting. So just be mindful of when you're shopping. Okay, I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing to add. Also, the DCC requires us to have like a QR code now in the front window, so that you can scan it and make sure that it's a licensed dispensary too. So that's like now a good little tidbit that they're trying to let people know about. So yeah, but that's a good point. Make sure that you're shopping at a licensed dispensary, and you can make sure that you're buying these products that are tested and safe and consistent, because that is very important for senior customers.
Yeah.
So yeah,
exactly. And then the next one on our thing is that many products contain 0 or very low levels of THC, and that's another reason why people are using it more. And my Mama Sue tincture, right here, it's a sleep tincture, and it has no THC, just high CBD and high CBN. And we'll talk more about that a little later. But there's so many products that has very low or no THC for those people who are afraid to use it.
Yeah. And then also, like we kind of talked about in the very beginning, is that there's also now minor cannabinoids like the CBN and the CBG that we're now able to extract. And now we have independent and anecdotal evidence that we're showing, does provide relief. And so these products are now available, and we'll kind of talk about them now, like how the industry is, responding to these trends. But we have these products now available, and they're becoming like more affordable. So that's also now bringing a lot of seniors to the market. And also, like I talked about just recently, just right now, is that these products are now the prices are dropping. They're becoming more affordable, and because of like economic factors, all these brands are reducing prices. And also a lot of dispensaries offer senior discounts.
Yeah,
So
like us.
at Farmacy, Natural Healing Center, and Pottery, all stores offer a discount for active aging adults. 55 or 65, it's different at every store, but we try to, make it affordable for seniors. So that is also, I think brought more senior customers in dispensaries too, the fact that it's become more affordable for them. And then that kind of leads us in summary to, the increasing number of senior customers. And I'll let you take it from here.
Many more seniors, of course, are between 2016 and 2018, self-reported current use of cannabis among those ages 65 to 69 years of age nearly doubled to 8% amongst men and to nearly 4% amongst women. And the recent trends in cannabis use in older Americans, there's a report on that you could look at, check it out, and see how things are really, really changing for us, for the better, because people are getting more educated about what they're doing. So look up these studies, check them out for yourself. And the fastest growing demographic reporting cannabis use in the United States is those adults ages 55 and older.
Yeah. So as the baby boomer generation becomes seniors, there's a lot of cannabis and consumers and aficionados in that generation. So we'll have a lot of new consumers. And like we said here, this from the Annals of Internal Medicine, it's a much larger study. And although, 8% in that study doesn't seem like very much, it doubled in their study. So that was a big, for them to say that it went from 4 to 8% is still a 50% increase. And that is still a very, very large, increase in their population, in that study. So that's why I called that out.
There was a study that I read, heard, it was either on TV or I read it. 3 million seniors, new seniors, people use cannabis last year. Seniors, 3 million.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
That was the increase.
Yeah, at our last shuttle here in Santa Ana, I think half of the people were completely new to cannabis. When I said, who's this, their first time, to cannabis dispensary, half the hands went up. I was like, wow, it was really cool. But I'm always surprised the amount of people that, this is their first time they've ever used cannabis or been exposed. There's still so many people out there.
You know why, you guys? The number one reason is because we as elders, as seniors, we find ourselves taking all these medications. They find themselves taking pills after pills after pills, and they're getting worse. They're still not getting any better. So something is clicking. I'm not getting better. Maybe I should try something different. Because I'm on 15 of these pills. They're still graduating to more, and I'm not getting any better. So the time is now, and we're doing our research. We are looking within to see what works best for our bodies. And we're moving forward to a better life.
And then I just real quick wanted to include this as well. And it's just another study from like YouGov here. And I wanted to point out here that actually in this study, it shows that the number of seniors who have tried marijuana in this study even shows 54% of senior or people 65 and older had tried cannabis. And that was still higher than the U.S. adult citizens. It was still even higher than that demographic. So still showing higher there. So I thought that was very interesting. And then bringing us almost here to the end is the cannabis industry response. So I'd say one of the biggest responses, like what I've seen kind of like in the shelves here at the dispensary, is like the increasing number of products with CBN, which, to remind you guys at the beginning, is the cannabinoid that like combined with like just a little bit of THC can help increase like the sedative effect, can help people fall asleep and stay asleep longer. So do you want to kind of talk a little bit about that too?
Yes. For seniors, we could fall asleep, but we don't stay asleep. And so the CBN adds that effect. That's that cannabinoid that's added, that it's discovered. We didn't have that 17 years ago. We didn't know anything about it. So all kinds of new cannabinoids and terpenes and we're finding all kinds of benefits from cannabis. And CBN has been a good one to help people stay asleep. So that's perfect. And you could find it in a lot of the products, not only in the Mama Sue sleep, but in a lot of our gummies and other products.
Yeah. So I would say one of our biggest sellers all the time is like these CBN products and all these different varieties. And there's even like teas and, like there's chocolates and there's the gummies. So there's, different things, no matter what, like your delivery method is that you prefer, you can find something with CBN in it. So the market is definitely responding very strong to the demand for this cannabinoid, which is very interesting.
That's great.
And another way that they're responding to the increase in number of seniors in the market would be topicals and patches. So you want to talk like a little bit about this and like what you've kind of experienced, or
with the I don't know too much about the liquid flower, but the topicals and patches, of course, are one that I've used the Papa Berkeley, that 3-to-1 on my knees and on my back. You rub it in, and it works. It immediate. Within, I would say, 15 minutes, it goes into the body, helps relieve the pain, and it works. You just rub it right on, and sometimes that's what your body needs, is that love and that rub, just to let it know you care, and just giving it some good medicines. And so there are many, many different ways, different products to heal your body rather than popping a pill.
Yeah.
I want you to be mindful of it, of better ways to heal your body, most effective ways, most healthiest ways to find it, and find out what works best for you. I know what works best for me. And so your job, if you're considering cannabis, is to try to figure out what works best for you. Yeah. The topical, the subliminals, yeah, all of that, the patches. A lot of the men, especially, they like to smoke it, which is fine. Whatever. We have look like sometimes here in America they have a problem with people feeling good.
Yeah,
people should feel good. They should feel good about themselves, about their health, their body. They shouldn't be in pain.
There's something, and so that's funny too, because like one time I did have like an older couple come in, and like there was a man and a woman, and like I was like, this one will just relieve the pain, and this one will relieve the pain, but it has a little bit more THC, so you might get a little like a high effect too. And the man was like, oh well, let's just get her the CBD one, and the woman was like, I want this one that might make me feel a little bit good too. There's nothing wrong with feeling a little bit of good too, and I was like, that's right. There's nothing wrong with getting rid of the pain plus feeling a little good, so it was very funny. So you're right, Sue. There's nothing wrong with getting rid of the pain plus having a smile on your face, but whatever you feel comfortable with. And sometimes people like to enter, like just like at a non-intoxicating level and then kind of work their way up to like maybe feeling good with a smile, Yes. But whatever you want to like, where you feel comfortable, you start and then you can graduate. But something's nice about topicals and patches is that like the oil or water-based ones don't have any intoxication.
Right.
So that's what seniors really like is they can put on the Papa and Berkeley and they don't get high.
They don't get high.
You just get well.
Yeah,
like you said, seniors don't want to get high. They want to get well.
Right.
Especially during the daytime, when they have like activities and friends and stuff like that to hang out with. So that's why topicals and patches have become such a big market, and they have all these wonderful looking and smelling products available. And I would say a majority of people that buy these are the 55 and over crowd. Yeah. You will get younger people that buy them because they are good for anybody, but most people that are investing in these products, and they do last a long time, they go very far, are the senior market. So
okay.
And then another thing I would just say is like products and ratios overall. So like most health and wellness products will have ratios. And when I say this, I mean, it's not going to just be an all THC or an all CBD or an all CBN product. It's going to be a product that has like a mixture. So like, as you can see here on the slide, when I say ratio, it's going to have 20 parts CBD and like 1 part THC, so in a bottle, there'll be that much of CBD and just a little bit of THC, or as you can see, like in the above example, 5 parts of CBD and 1 part THC. So the top one is going to be, it's going to be a little bit stronger in THC, whereas like the bottom one, because it's more diluted, it's not going to be as strong. So the top one will have a little bit higher of a THC effect because it's not as diluted. So the top one might be a little bit stronger, might have more of a pain relieving effect, might have a little bit more sedation. So it might be a little bit better for pain and sleep. Whereas the one on the bottom probably might be better for like an entry level user, somebody that's using it for like dementia or Alzheimer's or like Parkinson's or something like that, or, just trying to like use it for inflammation. So just kind of like an representation, but a lot of products now are coming with ratios. Even like the Mama Sue product is a ratio because it's like part THC, part CBD for the relief. And then the sleep one is CBD and CBN. And then because it is derived from cannabis, there's like just a tinge, THC, just a tinge, not enough to actually make it psychoactive,
right?
But just enough to like activate it, which, turns it on. Yep. And just makes that CBN activated. So,
exactly.
Yeah. And then wrapping it all up, all this great information. Sue just wanted to leave you guys all with some very important information.
Just remember, it's important, the importance of proper dosing. Start low and go slow. When you're trying cannabis, especially for the first time, you take the lowest amount. Do not read the recommended amount. Because I remember once when I first went into a cannabis dispensary, I'd never been in one. My son took me into it, and I said, I want some cannabis. I didn't know what to ask for, right? So they said, okay. First they brought me a flower. I said, no flower, because I don't smoke. And so the amount was the full dropper. I was the first time, I hadn't used any of it. If I had taken the recommended dose, I had never used cannabis before, I would have never touched it again ever,
Yeah.
because I would have had a terrible experience. Because if you're a first time user, you start with the lowest dose, and you wait at least an hour and a half before you try anything else if you don't feel anything. So you go low and you go slow. It's trial and error, because every body is different. Your your body weight, if you're a first time user, all that, how much medications you're on, all that is very important. The next thing is to make sure you talk to your doctor. That, look, your doctor, you use your doctor as a tool. You tell him, you don't ask his permission. You says, I'm going to start using cannabis, and I want you to be aware of it, uh, just so you could know if there's is there going to be any kind of reaction between any medications that you are already on. You always have your primary care physician aware of what you're doing. So if anything go wrong, they'll have all the information that they need. I hope that makes sense. And another, okay, make informed decisions regarding strand consumption. The best way, because we don't know, the best way is going to a reputable dispensary.
Mm-hmm.
Like, boy, if you can ever come right here to Farmacy Santa Ana and you get Candace. Candace is here every day. She most days if she's not in the field, she and everybody here in all of our dispensaries are well educated on which strands help most ailments. They're able to guide you and tell you. Now, they're not experts, they're not medical professionals, but they are knowledgeable because we train them about cannabis. So make sure, and look, that's why you say start low and slow. You use what you're most familiar with, what you think might be familiar to your body, if that makes sense. If you haven't been a smoker, don't start off with smoking. So, like that's my example. Don't start off with something like smoking. Do a less easier way to try and ingest it to see if it's going to work for you. And use a buddy system. If you have a buddy, if you're married and live with your spouse, um, have them uh, help check you and see. You use the cannabis, see if the mood changes. Say if your husband uses it, you see if his mood changes. See if his pain is gone. Uh, Pain has gone within an hour. Perfect. Write that down. Pain was gone within an hour. 2 hours, nothing has happened. Then you would write down 2 hours, nothing has happened. So you would increase it the next time. You see, it's trial and error. You got to play with it, and you got to do that to get the best results for yourself. And I will also recommend keep a cannabis journal. Write it down to see. Let me tell you a kind of funny story. It's not really funny, but sometimes, say at night, when I can't sleep, of course, I'll use Mama Sue tinctures. But sometimes it doesn't keep me all the way asleep, okay? And so sometimes in the night, if I wake up, I can't remember what I took. But I can go back to my book. Oh, you did this. So I won't double up on it. Because sometimes I forget, or I'm still in the daze from waking up.
Yeah.
So it helps just to jot it down, just to keep it in. And only try 1 or 2 products at a time. Okay, here's a big one, you guys. When you first come into a cannabis store, don't come out with a whole bag of stuff. Only come out with 1, maybe 2 items. If you come out with a bag of cannabis, you won't know and try them all, you won't know what's working. You will not. 2 max. Try that and record and monitor it. Monitor it closely, especially for first-time users. But it's very important. It's very important not to get a whole bunch of products at a store, because you get excited. Whole bag, you give me all of that. No. because you have to know, you need to know what's worked for you. And the best way to do it, less is best.
Yeah.
That's, so.
I agree with that.
And I just want to say something in closing. Are we about that now, or we have some more?
Yeah, and we just like, yeah,
go ahead.
This is a good time. I was just going to say, leading organizations, continuing education is important. Me and Sue have been doing this like 20 years each, and I'm always learning more. It's, they're always conducting new research, and we're always advancing our understanding. So it's always important to keep understanding and learning yourself. So these are good kind of. The top two ones are more advocacy organizations, but Project CBD and also the other organization that one of our guests so kindly pointed out as well, the Society for Cannabis Clinicians is also a great resource for information, but please continue to learn more about cannabis on your own and what might be best for you. This is just a great starting off point. And then here's some contact information for Sue too, but please make the point that you were going to, and then we have just maybe like a couple questions I'll pull out too.
Okay.
But make your point, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to say to everybody on the call, especially if you're a senior, that this is your time. This is the time you should be having the best time of your life. We don't have college tuition to pay anymore. And hopefully all our kids are gone. And so it's time for us to thrive, to live our remaining years feeling well, being in a state of well-being, of living well as we age. We deserve that. And if cannabis, and this is why I'm still in the cannabis industry to this day, I've seen the results of seniors not being in a fog from all the pharmaceutical drugs using to manage their health. They're in a fog and they can't contribute back. You guys, who's going to save the world is the energy of these young people, like Candace here, and the wisdom of us elders working together, creating better families, better communities, better governments, resulting in a better world. But we need our seniors, our elders, our wisdom keepers, because that's who you are, a wisdom keeper. And the young people need us. They need you. They need your wisdom to help them navigate this earth, this world, this government. They need us because we have solid mind and we've experienced it and we know. We've traveled this road. We're not this aging. God didn't create us to be the largest population and grow old in pain. Mm-hmm. And I know he's given me the gift to help seniors, remind them how valuable they are, how good they are, and how needed they are. And you deserve to feel good. God bless. Thank you so much.
So wonderful.
Thank you so much, Candace.
You're so sweet.
Well, thank you for helping educate. You stay up on the educational components. You stay up on all the new research. We don't have to go to Israel anymore. They're doing them right now for the first time in the United States. Yeah. They're doing the research. So I'm just thank you for having me come today. It's lovely to be here at Farmacy Santa Ana. Yeah. And thank to all of you. Thank you for tuning in.
This has been wonderful. We've had so much great information, and you've been one of the most wonderful guests we've had. I've really enjoyed this. We've had a couple great questions. Most of them I'm probably going to get back to you guys with your own individual answers, because there have been some really great questions I want to do some research on. But there's one I'm just going to ask you one question here because we've gone over on time, but we've gave some really good information, so I hope everybody has enjoyed it. But I think one good question that we can end with here, what can dispensaries do, and dispensaries/stores do to ensure that our seniors are taken care of? And what are the major pain points that you hear when you go and you speak to other seniors about their interactions at dispensaries?
About what other?
Like when seniors go to dispensaries, like what are their pain points? because I see that we have other like dispensary operators in other states like watching this webinar.
Pain, you mean their level of pain?
No, like when seniors come like and shop at dispensaries, what are some of the pain points? Like what are some of the problems that they've had when they come to dispensaries? Like as far as like employees or like shopping at the dispensaries, like what are some of the problems that they've had shopping at dispensaries?
Well, one is a lot of them aren't educated about seniors, and ours are. You see, a lot of dispensaries don't focus on senior issues. They don't give senior discounts either, but ours do. We are attentive to all of our customers, and so if you don't find a dispensary that fits your needs, try another one. I would try another one. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, because I've heard you said some, and like other times too, that sometimes seniors are like overlooked. Sometimes
we're overlooked all the time.
Yeah,
not only in dispensaries,
but in regular stores,
in grocery stores and department stores. They act like we're invisible. They just totally ignore us. You know. So that I think that's a problem of getting of aging, but we just have to call them on it. And if it continues, I would try some place that's more accommodating to me. So I do the same thing with gas stations.
So it'd be like customer service, level of education. And then I would also say that a lot of cannabis dispensaries are not all equal. Not all of them are geared towards like medical users.
That's true.
Or towards, seniors. Some of them are more geared towards like younger demographics. That's true. Towards like recreational products. So consumers do have to do some research into like the dispensary that they're visiting, because it may not have like the products or the employees that are trained, for that customer base. So
that's true. And also, Candace, I want to make the audience aware also at Glass House Brands, I'm the wellness part of the program. So they made a point with having me being the wellness part to make sure seniors are taken care of, to make sure the wellness part is taken care of. It's all about health and wellness and living well as you age.
Yeah. Well, I totally agree with you. Well, thank you everybody so much for being with us. Again, there is more questions. I will get to you guys individually with responses. I appreciate you guys all for joining us today. And for Sue, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thank you for today, for working with me on this webinar, and then for everything though, for, your work advocating for seniors, for, just your educational work, and for just being such a wonderful person. And, I love working with you. So
thank you so much.
This has been another wonderful edition of the Friends of the Farm lecture series. And I also want to thank Olga and everybody from the marketing team and from the retail team for making this webinar possible. And I want to thank everybody for watching. We hope that this has been an educational webinar, and that we've helped to make you better informed cannabis consumers, and that this webinar has helped to find you relief. We look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining us.